Thanks for having me, guys. I did run Boston Marathon April 16th. It's been 10 weeks ago. Since then, I'm still continuing to run on a daily basis. So since Boston, of course, I want to move on and continue on my running. So Boston, we got there, 3 days before Boston. On a Friday, races on a Monday. We flew into Boston, and we just, we got to, view the city, meet up with people before the race. I'm not sure if any of you guys kept up with the race Monday morning, but prior to it, the weather was great, perfect for running. Sunday morning, the day before the race, it got pretty bad, but there must have been a front that came in. The temperatures got pretty chilly, it got cloudy, it was raining, and that led to Sunday night into Monday morning during the race, and even into Monday afternoon after the race. So I believe it was like the coldest Boston Marathon since like in the 1980s. So it wasn't that fun. Well, it was fun to run, but I wish it was better. It took a toll for many of us runners. We had to change our race plan leading into the race because it was cold, probably like 30 degrees, wind chill in the 20s, constant rain during those 26 miles, and a headwind of 20 to 30 the entire race. So the opposite of what us runners want. And because of that, the next day after, we're loading up. Amazing day. It was perfect. Sun was out. Perfect. I'm like, the race could have been on Tuesday. But now I have this great story to tell everyone. Like, I ran my first Boston Marathon. It was awful. It was brutal. But I believe 23 pro athletes that showed up. They get paid. They get invited. 23 men and female did not finish because of the cold, hypothermia. So, I guess I should, Nike or someone should come talk to me. Hey, not them, because Nike's top guy, he dropped out mile 18 because he got too cold and all that. But yeah, going into the race, I got to talk to many of my friends from all over, the country. I have a buddy that I know because of social media from New York, and so we met up at the expo Saturday. Now this was my first time talking to him. We've talked through Facebook, Instagram, but that was the first time. So, running helps a lot when it comes to like meeting new people, and knowing that I got to meet so many new faces going into this race. I loved it. So I got to talk to them. I got to hang out with a couple from Edmond, Oklahoma. But the lady was running, and she is 52, and that was her third Boston Marathon. And so I know them pretty well. So that's who we kind of got together with the weekend. So I wasn't just alone. My wife and I, we had always people going into it. So great experience. The race Monday morning, I woke up about 4 in the morning, kind of have a good breakfast. I don't eat much before racing. I'm just too scared it's going to come up during the race and it's just going to blow it up. So I had oatmeal and a bagel, and use the bathroom. And then our hotel was about 2 miles from where Boston Common, which from there lots of buses would take the athletes out to a town west of Boston. So the race doesn't begin in Boston. It starts at a town of Hopton. Yeah. 26 miles west of Boston, and then you run through so many small towns leading into Boston. So it's a point-to-point race. So it's already raining. 5 o'clock in the morning, one of my buddies from Dallas, he meets up at my hotel. We get on this shuttle to go into downtown Boston, and it's already raining, constantly raining, and it's freezing. In my head, I'm like, here we go. So Bailey was able to stay with the couple from Edmond, her husband. Their hotel was at mile 25, so I told her bye, and I knew I wasn't going to see her for a good 6 hours. So I knew she was in good hands, but Boston, everyone knows what happened 5 years ago with the bombings. She told me about tons of security, so many fences, so many security. They do such a great job, just in case that ever happens again. But she was in good hands. My buddy and I, Luke, he's from Dallas, and so we get on this bus with so many more runners, but it's at our level, and we just make our way west of Boston, and that probably takes a good hour to get to the starting line. And then, since it was raining all Sunday into Sunday night, Monday morning, when we get to the athletes' village, they have these big tents to try to cover the rain and whatnot. But it's on I think it was on a baseball field. The grass is awful. There's mud everywhere. People were not prepared for this. Coming into it, I knew it was gonna be pretty bad, so I took an old pair of sweatpants, top, old pair of shoes, so I can wear before the race, and then right before get rid of it and toss it. I saw lots of people not wearing sweats. We were just in their t-shirts. We were just in their shorts. And it was 30 degrees, and they were not ready. They probably didn't even start the race because they were so cold. So I was lucky enough to have extra clothes so I can toss and keep warm, try to keep warm. We were at the athletes' village for a good hour and a half before they made our way, until we made our way to the starting line, which is about almost a mile to the starting line from the athletes' village. And luckily with me and my friend, we have such a good time, but we can go to Corral 1. So how Boston is set up, like Henry said, you got to run such a fast time to qualify in your age group. My age group is from 18 to 34, I believe, and you got to run 3 hours and 5 minutes. And the faster you run, the sooner you can register. My time before Boston was 2 hours and 39, so I registered on the first day. I got to get in Corral 1, Wave 1, which pretty much means, for me, where you guys are, the elite runners were right there. I got to see the female runners 30 minutes before I started. They took off. So these elite runners are, like Tom Brady's in football. This is like Russell Westbrook in NBA. So that's how I compare them. And so seeing them in person, just a few feet away was great for me, because I see them on TV, I see the workout, so it was pretty neat. They start at 9:30 Eastern time, and the men come out about 10 minutes before, from a building. They were elite runners. They get the special treatment. We're inside, and then once we come out, we're bundled up and all that. And us average runners we've been outside forever. So yeah, but I think it benefited us because they come out from the warm house into this cold, and I think most of them just kind of didn't like it. So at 10 o'clock the gun shoots off, and we make our way. I was at the very beginning, at the very front. My buddy from Stillwater, he was able to catch on TV. He spotted me, but everyone just wants to take off. The adrenaline's just rushing, and everyone just wants to go. People are passing me left and right. I'm like, I know. First 6 miles of Boston is pretty much all downhill, so you want to run the first 6 miles pretty smart. So people were passing me left and right. I'm like, it's okay, there's so many more miles I can make my move, and I know, but going into it, I wanted to run certain paces so I wouldn't completely die when I came to like mile 25 or 26. So I don't know, I was probably like 200 people had passed me. We were making our way through each town. Constant rain. Rain was still, coming down. That wind was just blowing right in our faces. What I wore was, my wife thinks I was crazy, and so did other people. I had my singlet, and I had gloves. I had a hat to cover the rain, and I had the day before we went into a store and bought a headband to cover my ears, and I had my shoes and I had my tights, which come to your knees. But you see runners out there, long sleeves and a wind jacket, but for me, I didn't want it. I knew what I liked to run in, and I didn't want to change it going into Boston. So we take off. The first 6-7 miles, constant rain, like I said. There's so many runners in between in this road, but you're not running alone. So many people at my level which is neat because races I go to, most of the time maybe I'm by myself running, or there's maybe one or two in front, behind. But in Boston, there's people all over the place, and I got to, sit down, like not sit down, but I got to sit with them, just let them block the wind for me, let them take care of the wind, so I can save my energy. Obviously people were doing the same thing behind me. At one point, I'm not sure what time it was, because you're running and it's kind of a blur. You don't enjoy the scenery, and especially that day because of the rain. We were going through a town, and at one point I was like, maybe on the top of a hill, but you could see like the next 3 blocks. Now you could see were runners single file for a good 3-4 blocks, because no one wanted to block that wind. Everyone wanted to get behind someone, so it tells you the wind was blowing pretty good. By mile 8, my buddy from Dallas, he had faded behind, and I knew that he wanted to run his own thing. So it was pretty much me and random runners all around me. But I knew we were chit-chatting while running, and asking like, hey, what do you want to run? You want to run together? You want to I block your wind for me and all of that. So I stayed with groups of runners that wanted to go like 2 hours and 30, 2 hours and 35 minutes. And by mile 8, this runner comes out of nowhere on my right side, and he's like, hey, did you run were you in Austin in February? He's like, yeah, I ran the Austin half marathon. He's like, yeah, I ran it too. I noticed that singlet from anywhere. So it was pretty neat. Out of 26,000 runners, this guy spots me, and he noticed my singlet. He's like, yeah, I could, because it says courage in the bag. He's like, yeah, I noticed that. I remember you from Austin. So him and I, from mile 9 to almost 17, ran together, obviously with other runners, but we fed off each other. So it was neat. And from now, after that, I followed him on Instagram, Facebook. We're Facebook friends, so we talk. We know what we're doing. He's from Rhode Island, and so it's neat knowing that he spotted me and we got to run together. So all of that. Leading into Boston, miles 16 through 20, all hills pretty much. They call it the Fort Newton Hills, and then mile 20, it's called Heartbreak Hill. So leading into it, I had to do hills during my training. Not a huge fan of hills, but obviously I wanted to do good in Boston, so I incorporated hills during my training. So we got halfway mark, 13 miles into it. I was at 1 hour and 15 minutes and 55 seconds. So that's a whole lot better than my previous marathon. So I was pleased. I was on pace to go 2:32, and I knew obviously that these hills were coming up. I had to save some energy going into these hills, but I may slow down a little. So I was pleased with the time at the halfway mark. So by miles 15 and 16, we hit these hills, and these hills obviously by the time you're running 15 miles, your legs are telling you to let's stop. So these hills included. It's not that much fun. 4 hills go by, these groups of runners are slowly fading. People are slowing down because of the hills. We passed 16, 17, 18, 19, those miles. And by the time I get to the last hill, at mile 20, almost mile 21, there's not really a group of runners anymore. People started fading, they slowed down, and it was pretty much just me and maybe 2 runners up in front of me and a couple was behind me, but there was not enough runners to block the wind. And like I was telling you, man, once we got closer into Boston, that wind was just worse. It was raining harder. Boston with those skyscrapers, it just came right to you. So I wish we had more runners going into those last 6 miles to block the wind. Obviously, maybe I could have done a few seconds faster, but. So I passed the hill at mile 20-ish, and as every runner, every marathoner knows, there's an imaginary wall you hit at mile 20. After mile 20, your body starts wanting to shut down. You start using the extra energy you have. So, it's a make or break at mile 20. I felt good, luckily, this time around. I slowed down a few seconds, but I was pleased with the last 10K, the last 6 miles I went. Obviously the crowds but no, the whole crowds from mile 1 to 26, it was just covered. People all over the place, even when it was raining. But once I finished, people kept telling me, like, yeah, those crowds would be bigger, but because of the weather, there wasn't that many. But in my eyes, I've had lots of people out there, so I helped out a lot. The last 6 miles going into Boston, people all over the place, just right along the road. So that helped me kind of stay consistent with my miles. I was obviously slowing down just a tad going into those miles, but I knew I could finish semi-strong. So Boston, mile 25, there's a famous Sitco sign that everyone knows. Like, if you see that sign, that means you're closer to the finish line and all of that. That's where Bailey was, and with the lady's husband. And I knew she was going to be there, but with the crowd of people that were on the right-hand side, I didn't see her. But she took a video of me, and it shows me looking right at her. But I didn't see her, I didn't hear no one, but she was right there. So she goes to see me at mile 25. And after I had passed by, she made her way towards the finish line. But after I passed by mile 25, the last it would be probably last mile, the crowds got bigger. You keep going straight, and you take a right, and man, it's like right on Hereford, left on Boylston, and right when you cross out left, right when you take a left on Boylston Street, oh my gosh, it just got super loud. It was like, the finish line was maybe almost a minute away, but these crowds were like, it got louder, and it just fed off that energy from the crowd. And I could see the time. It was like 2 hours and 34 minutes with some change. And I was like, I don't know, I don't think I'm going to break 2 hours and 35, but I'm pleased with the time. So right when I crossed the finish line, it hit 2 hours and 35 with 14 seconds. And at that time, I didn't know what place I was in. My goal was, going into it, was top 100. I had researched the times previous years. I'm like, okay, I think if I run a good time, I can top 100. I finished 52nd out of 25,746 runners. That's pretty much, say like our college teams winning conference and then going into national championships. I didn't know I got 52nd until like I got to meet Bailey, and she had my phone. I was like, here, take your phone. Your phone's just blowing up. All of that, so, people are calling you, texting you, congratulating you. So I'm like, yeah. So that was pretty neat. Afterwards, there was like a family meeting. That's what Bailey's and I's plans were, to all of that. But with it raining, I'm like, no, I don't want to stay outside longer. So with it, I got a runner, some random runner, like, hey, does anyone have a phone? He had a phone, so I used his phone and called Bailey, like, hey, forget about family meeting, let's meet at Panera Bread, which is right by the finish line where we ate yesterday. And that's where we met up, and that we were able to, from Panera Bread, we got to see the finish line kind of, and so many runners were coming in. Panera Bread frozen, like, you come in freezing, you've been outside for running for like 2-3 hours plus, but your body just, 26 miles is a lot, and it takes a lot out of you. So I got to see some people come in that restaurant pretty like fatigued, and they were just shivering. And like, yeah, that's probably me before, but I couldn't tell. So Boston was a good experience. Yes.
What about your feet and your shoes? I mean, did they?
They were just soaked even before. So like I said, I had old pair of shoes. I was wearing them. I switched my shoes right when I got to the starting line, but I didn't have extra socks. I guess I did have extra socks, but as soon as I put them on, it didn't matter. My feet were soaked from mile 1 until the end. Yeah, I mean.
You have more blisters than normal?
I had a good one, yes. I was wearing gloves, and what I could do, because of the rain, I could squeeze them, and I could just, do this, and you could just see water just coming out of my gloves. But, I kept my gloves on the whole time.
Any issue slipping, sliding,
no,
falling because of the rain?
No slip. I know a buddy from Oklahoma City that he slipped and he fell, and he had a good scar. But for me, no, I don't know why. But the roads were good, all of that, but no slipping.
You're gonna do it again?
Yeah. So registration for next Boston, it opens in September. I'll register about first Monday. I've actually already reserved hotel rooms. Yeah. I mean, I think they open up in May, and with so many runners going into that weekend, you know, you want to have a good hotel rooms, and before prices go up, before we sell out. So yeah, I already reserved rooms, and I plan on going back again. Yes, sir.
With 26,000 people there, the depth must be maybe a city block or so of people backed up. Do the people in the back get the same starting time as the people in the front?
So with Boston, you know, wave one crowd, like, you know, there's 4 waves, I believe, 4 or 5, every 5 to 10 minutes, the next wave begins. So your time doesn't actually start until you cross that starting line.
Until your wave starts.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Once you hit that starting line, that's when your official time begins.
So there's going to be 4,000 or 5,000 in a wave though?
So my buddy, he was in wave one, and his time was like 7 minutes slower than I was. So wave one, I bet it had like 2,000 people. Possibly, I'm not sure,
Well, I
but
was just thinking that wasn't very fair. If you was in the back, and you had the same starting time.
yeah.
Is it going to be?
Does it click off your badge or?
Yeah, so
your
you know,
tag
we have
sign?
bibs, and then the bibs have like a timing chip.
So
And
it's when you go across.
yeah,
it's
so
not the
once
group particularly.
correct. So once you know go over that mat with the timing chip, it begins. I mean, there's like a timing mats every so often, so there's no cheating. And you know, with Boston,
Your
there's
time doesn't start till you cross the line.
Correct.
Even if you start at the back.
Correct,
of the wave,
yes.
you got it.
yeah.
The technology has changed so
Yeah.
much
Yeah,
in these
yeah.
marathons. I mean, my daughter run in Oklahoma City when, you know, you can tell exactly where
Mhm,
they are
yeah,
all
and-
the time.
yeah, there's
their
apps.
exact time and.
Yeah, once you cross that, say you cross the half marathon mark, there's a timing mat, and it pops up to the app or notifications. You can sign up for notifications, and it tells you, you know, such and such ran such and such time. This is his average pace. You know, so that's how people were able to keep up with me.
It was fun to watch.
Yeah, yeah. See, so you could sign up, and every probably 5K, 10K, 15K halfway mark, and so on. You know, people would get notifications because of these timing mats on the ground, and once your bib passed, it would, you know, pop up.
In your division, where were you in placing?
So I think it's 18 through 34. I believe I was 49th. And that's including the elite runners too.
You was in your division, which is 50th or one all
Yeah.
overall of everybody?
Yeah, I think there was 2 or 3 guys that are past 34.
Okay.
But I mean, these are including the elite runners. These are the guys that, you know, train in Colorado, Flagstaff, Arizona. These are the guys that get paid to run. So those guys are included in that age group too. So like
Those are the Henry Vickers staff.
Yeah, so like the winning time was, I believe, 2 hours and 15 from a guy from Japan. He has a full-time job, 40 hours, and I saw him coming out that house at the start line. He was, I mean, whatever he was wearing, that's what he came out with. He was ready for it. So, you know, like it's not like he's a normal runner, but
So the difference between winning it and 52nd was 20 minutes.
Yes,
over
yeah.
26 miles.
yeah, and that's a minute
That's
average
less
per
than-
mile.
That's less than a minute a mile.
Yeah, but when it comes to like long distance, that I mean, 20
Oh, I
minutes
know,
is a lot,
yeah.
but really it's not. But kind of it is. Yeah.
Is your wife gonna run it next year?
So you know, going into Boston, you have to run a marathon to qualify. I believe her age would be 3 hours and 35 minutes, which is about 8-minute pace per mile. Now she's done a couple half marathons. She's done plenty of 5Ks, 10Ks, 15Ks. She's still new to the distance. She said that maybe eventually she might try a marathon, but she's new to this. But I mean, she enjoys going to these cities, you know, and getting to watch. She got to watch all these elite runners cross by while I'm still, you know, 20 minutes behind, you know, suffering, and she gets to watch all these runners cross by. But she enjoys it. She didn't run in high school. She just played basketball. Small town of Barnett, so new to running.
Quick question.
Yeah.
if the race is 26 miles, what's the most in your training workout that you would ever run in one day prior to that?
Okay, so
I know you're not running 26 miles.
I did 24.
You did 24?
Yeah, it was 4 weeks before Boston.
You worked up to a 24-mile?
Yeah, so 18 weeks was my training cycle. The last 6-7 weeks, I alternated weekends to do 20-plus mile runs. I did 20, 22. I did 20, 20, 22, 24. And then 2 weeks before Boston, I believe I did 21 or 22. But 24 was my longest run, and that was like 4 weeks before Boston.
So you do that around here?
Yeah, yeah.
So where do you go? I mean, you run to Tacoma and back here, or what do you do?
No. I
No, if you're coming in from, Camp Houston, you know, with enough hills.
Jeff Hills?
Yeah, well, if there was a shoulder on the road, yeah, I'd love to, but no shoulder on the road, I'm not gonna even. I wish there was.
So where do you go from here?
So I started in town. I pretty much run anywhere on the
So, I
roads.
mean, you just have a lap somewhere.
Yeah, kind of. And then on my longer runs, I go southeast of town, kind of like 5 miles out. You know where the antennas are, the road going to Tacoma.
Yes.
Yeah, I've gone that way. I've gone southwest of town on dirt roads. It's been a while since I've gone north of town, but on my longer runs, I try to hit some dirt roads because, longer distance. I don't want to stay in town the whole time.
Are the dirt roads easier on your running than the pavement?
Yeah,
For
easier on your legs.
So-
Yeah, kind of, but it would depending on if we're dried up or whatnot. But if it's smooth format.
You should go out to the Alva Golf and Country Club. It's not real hilly, but the college goes out there and runs.
Yeah, and I guess I didn't mention, I'm a grad assistant for the team. I'm working on my master's right now, so I'm getting my foot into the coaching position. But I guess I could for like shorter miles go out there, but I don't know. I guess I like the roads too much. Henry tries to tell me, hey, you need to run these such and such races. You know, it's all about, I'm like, nah, yeah, I'll just stick to roads. I'll just stick to the roads. Any questions, anyone?
Louis, thank you very much.
No problem. Thanks, guys. Thank you.